Welcome back. I'm Barbara McGinnis, and this is the Takacs McGinnis Elder Care News Hour. In this hour, we're going to be talking with experts about estate planning and unique circumstances, special demographic groups, and the implications of taxes and trusts.
So today, in this segment, we're going to be talking about what it means to have your ducks in a row when you're a married person, whether you're with or without children. With us today are Kristy Brassell, who is a certified public accountant with McMurray, Fox & Associates, a public accounting firm in the Nashville area, and Frank Cardenas, the founder of FedLogic and an expert on Social Security and Medicare benefits. Welcome, Kristy. Welcome, Frank.
Thank you.
So let's start by giving our viewers some context. Kristy, would you explain how you get involved in the development of estate plans for your clients?
Sure. So a lot of times a client will come to us, to prepare their tax return. And so we really understand their entire financial situation. We work with them a lot. We become counselors. We do financial statement preparation. Maybe if they have a small business, we work with that. So we see their whole entire financial picture. So we will ask, do you have a will? Do you have an estate plan? And if they don't, we'll start that conversation with them. And we'll help them, get in touch with estate planning attorneys, financial planners. And we typically work with the tax implications of the estate plan and then the filings of a trust return or, after death, the estate return.
Okay. So, Frank, how about you? How do you get involved in the development of estate plans? As a Social Security and Medicare expert, I'm assuming that a lot of times your clients are maybe older or maybe have a disability or something. Is that really how you get involved?
Yeah, actually, our service helps families and transcends all age groups, young or old. Historically, I worked for Social Security and Medicare for almost a decade. So we help families kind of understand how their federal benefits work. But primarily, yes, when it comes to Social Security retirement, widow benefits, spousal benefits, Medicare. So we just help families kind of navigate the federal system, understand what their benefits are, how to maximize them, and, of course, how to file for those benefits, which is sometimes the hardest part.
Right. And that's really a part of estate planning, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Kristy, we're seeing lots of families come to us with some fairly good-sized retirement accounts like IRAs. So if they're married but they have no children, obviously their spouse is usually going to be their primary beneficiary, right? But if they have no children, then what do they need to be thinking about?
Well, it really depends on the age of that person. When they are doing their estate plan and they're maybe in their 40s, are they going to need to think about a missing revenue stream for that spouse? That might include some life insurance or things like that. If they're older and they're already getting, IRA distributions, then if they don't want to just leave it to their spouse, maybe they're a philanthropist. A good way to get some money out of that estate is through gifts directly from your IRA. And, you can do up to $100,000 a year, and it does not affect your tax return, but it does help the required minimum distribution. So you don't have to, it allows for that required minimum distribution as your
okay. So
charitable
if you're younger than 59 and a half, you can gift money out of an IRA and not have to pay a penalty.
If you're already
you already attained that age.
That's right. If you've already attained that age, that's
Are you going to pay taxes on that?
the gift, the charitable gift?
No, when it comes out to you, or is it a tax-free transaction?
If you give it directly to the charity from the IRA.
Oh,
yes.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good. So what about people that have kids? How's their planning different?
So their plan is going to be a lot different because they're going to need to plan for their children. Beyond just the tax implications, they're going to need to decide if you don't typically plan on dying with your spouse, but if that were to happen, who's going to care for your children and how are they going to be cared for? Is that substantial life insurance that you have? Is that your retirement? You might need to put a trust into place to care for those minor children. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different aspects that you need to think about. If your children are older and you are already at retirement age, then you need to also decide who's going to get what, so there's not family arguing after you're gone. And that could be through a will or, again, through a trust.
Yeah. Frank, what about the married people? Still, we're talking about married people this segment. And their benefits like Medicare. Do you see any particular pitfalls or things that people need to be thinking about, taking into consideration?
Oh, absolutely. When it comes to Medicare, of course, you can get on Medicare two different ways. Medicare at age 65 attainment is the primary one, or if you become disabled. So even if you are working or the spouse, or one of the spouses are working, if you do become disabled, you do have that ability to get on that. You just need to get on Social Security disability. And after being on disability for 24 months, you're eligible for Medicare. So if something were to happen to a spouse, if you're married, someone's working, someone became disabled, you need to look at those two different options. But primarily, yes, at 65 you can get on Medicare, whether you're working or you're not. If you're eligible for a employer-sponsored group health plan, you need to kind of look at which one would be which way you'd be better served, whether it's to stay on the group health plan or look into your Medicare options.
We've seen a lot of people get in trouble with penalties for late enrollment for particularly
Absolutely.
Part B.
The penalties for late enrollment is 10% additional premium per year that you wait. So it's always really important to know this thing. If you are under a group health plan and you're over 65, then you're okay. You can get onto Medicare anytime in the future as long as you prove to Medicare that you've had a group health plan because of current employment, not because of previous employment.
Like a retiree plan.
That's right.
So what about Social Security for married people with no kids? I mean, are there particular things that you need to look for?
Absolutely. So a good rule of thumb is that as a spouse, as long as you're currently married and been married for more than a couple years, then you are entitled to a spousal benefit. Now, a spousal benefit works like this. Whatever my full retirement benefit is, my spouse can receive 50% of that. So the way that my spouse needs to be looking at is, well, let me look at my own retirement benefit. Would it be higher under my own, or should I be looking at 50% of my spouse's? And then they can start looking at, well, should I take the spousal benefit or my own? There are certain cases, though, just so everyone knows, that say if my spousal benefit is $400, but then I can get $1,200 from my own spouse, then it would be supplemented. The $400 would come from my record, and the remaining portion up to the $1,200 would come from my spouse.
Right. So there's some planning that can take place for married people.
That's right.
That not just you take the benefit at 65 or 62 or whatever. But what about married people with children? How does Social Security factor in there?
They can receive benefits if you have a child under the age of 18 or 19 and they're still in high school. They can receive benefits off of your record. So it's really important to understand that, because it would increase your benefit that you've received through Social Security. Also, we have seen a lot of cases with our clients and our families that we talk to that say a set of grandparents has adopted their grandchild. Well, if they adopt a grandchild, then they also can receive benefits off of their record. So it's really important to understand that, too.
Wow. We see more and more blended families, second families. Any words of wisdom for them in relationship to benefits?
Stepchildren, if there's a stepchild involved and someone's receiving either disability or retirement, they also can receive benefits under that stepfather or stepmother. So,
Kristy, do you have any last words of wisdom for blended families?
Well, as far as estate planning goes, you just want to make sure that everything is spelled out. Who is going to receive your benefits when you die.
So, a quick question before we go to break. What's the most common estate planning mistake that you see? Just name one.
No anything.
No nothing.
No nothing. That's right. That's right.
Mistake.
I think the biggest thing is the education of it. People need to understand how their federal benefits work before they actually get to that age. That's the most important.
Great. So when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Kristy Brassell and Frank Cardenas as we shift our focus to non-traditional couples. So don't go away.